Find out what's going on. Get involved. Change things from the inside. Make a difference. Take pride. Multicultural at its best. The Luisa Marshall Show. Coming up.
All new, simply the best. Get inspired. On the show, multi-award-winning Filipino American filmmaker Ramona Diaz, best known for creating character-driven documentaries. Ramona's notable films, Don't Stop Believing, Every Man's Journey, Imelda, Motherland, and most recently, 1,000 Cuts, which profiles world-renowned journalist Maria Ressa, who has fearlessly reported the abuse of power in the Philippines under the Duterte administration. Today, Ramona joins us to discuss her love and hate relationship with her beloved Philippines, the social media mayhem and fake news, her passion to tell interesting and inspiring stories, and her courage to support press freedom in the wake of the extrajudicial killings in the Philippines. And a special trailer of 1,000 Cuts. Get ready to be inspired. All these coming up.
Mr. President, is it important that people be afraid of you? Fear.
Yes.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa.
Maria Ressa carries the torch of press freedom in a country held in thrall by a populist president.
It started with the drug war.
Do not do drugs because I will kill you.
On our show today is Filipino American award-winning documentary filmmaker, producer of 1,000 Cuts, Ramona Diaz. Hey, Ramona!
Hey, Luisa, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Oh my goodness, welcome to Vancouver. And I take it that you are in Baltimore, Maryland?
Yes, I am in Maryland, in the East Coast of the United States.
Oh
Soon to be rejoining the world next year. No.
Oh my God. Ramona, so how are you doing during this difficult time?
You roll with the punches, right? I mean, I'm lucky. I have a roof over my head. I'm still working, which really saves me. The work saves me. So I find myself really, whenever I'm complaining, I always have to remind myself, it's like, shut up, you're a lot more people are worse off than you. You should just, it's tough, obviously. It's really tough. I miss people. I'm a filmmaker and I have a film out and release. And usually at this point, you're meeting people, I miss the audience so much. I miss the community of documentary filmmakers that I usually meet on the road. All that I miss. It's a tough thing. All of us are going through a tough time. It's like this global thing. It's not all equal, obviously, but it's some form of hardship in some manner.
I know, but Ramona, did you enjoy your election?
Oh my God, it was so stressful, Luisa.
I'm sorry, I have to ask. But let's go back to 1,000 Cuts.
Okay.
You are amazing, Ramona. So my first question to you, with Philippine President Duterte in mind and what he was capable of doing to anyone who criticized him, how stressful was it to make this movie?
It was because, at the end of the day, we were following Maria Ressa, who had to don a bulletproof vest whenever she entered the car, right? So at some point, it's a time of reckoning with you, your crew, and really be transparent and really ask, tell everyone this is a situation. And I was very nervous with especially I was nervous about my local crew, because I'm not local, I leave, right? I bring in cinematographers, I bring in sound people, but the rest are local hires. So I really sat them down and said, listen, do you want to be part of this? If you don't want to be because you feel like you're in trouble, because the person we're following is in the crosshairs of the president, I wouldn't take it against you. You can leave, and I would never take it against you. But Luisa, not one of them left. They felt it was a story to tell. And they said, no, this is the right story to tell. We're going to stick it out. So it was stressful. But at the end of the day, I wasn't really scared of the administration, because they knew we were making the film. Obviously, because I have Mocha Usan in it. I have close allies of the president in the film. So the president was very aware I was making it. I think the unknown, right, is more scary. The people who show up, the people who think they're acting on behalf of the president, the people who show up in Rappler and harass the people who work at Rappler. That's a bigger unknown, and that's a scarier thing, I think. But that, you really have to, I think I would have totally regretted it if I didn't make this film. Right? Because what am I a documentary filmmaker for? So I always say that my imagined regret always outweighed my fear. So based on that, you just move forward. And of course, you see Maria being so brave, and you're like, I'm gonna, through osmosis, right? Something rubs off on you and the crew, and we're like, yeah, we're just gonna do this, because in a way, of course I have a choice, but it would be deep regret if I didn't do it. Because it was being offered to me as a story. I was there with Maria, so how could you not?
I interviewed Maria Ressa last summer after her guilty verdict, and she talked about 1,000 cuts. And I read a lot about it, and how it actually wasn't just about Maria in the beginning, right? So this film is a fight, but not right now, but this film is a fight for Maria and other Marias in this world that has been bullied, ridiculed, and convicted of a crime just because they were doing their jobs to report the truth. So when you made this movie, did it ever occur to you what's happening in the Philippines, all the disinformation, false news, attacks on reputable journalists are also happening in democratic countries like us in the US, surprisingly?
I think, I go back and forth, right? I go between the Philippines, because I make a lot of my films there, and the US. So I'm always back and forth. And when I'm in the Philippines, I know exactly I'm in the Philippines. I know, okay, I am in the Philippines. When I'm in the States, I know that I'm in the States. But if one day you're sitting on the couch in your living room in the US, you turn on the TV and CNN reporters are being arrested on live TV in the US, then you're like, oh my God, what's happening? And I'm like, where am I? I thought I was in the States. Wait, this seems like the Philippines. Then it becomes closer. That is troubling. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's not supposed to be this way, because I've always felt like, and it's true though. I mean, the US still has stronger institutions. That's why it can sort of, barely though, but it can absorb the impact of a president like we have right now. It can still absorb it, barely, because you saw what it did to society. It polarized society so much. But in a place like the Philippines, where institutions are weak, because it was many, many years of dictatorship, and then it takes so long to build democratic institutions that, one man can really just come around and boom, finished. I mean, even before you know it, right? The institutions are crumbling. So I still believe that this country just escaped something really, really bad, right? We're not out of the woods yet, because like we said, 70 million people voted for him. There's still disinformation. Lies are still out there. People still believe that COVID is not true. Really? People still believe that mask wearing does not, is like a conspiracy to curtail their rights. Really? It's like, what are you talking about? But that is, I think really that is a result of weaponizing social media, right? The disinformation, the fake news. Really, I hate to use the term, because I feel like it's a term that's also been used against mainstream media to delegitimize mainstream media. So I hate that term so much, but it's used. Lies are used when people believe it's not true, that COVID is not true. Wow, so many people have died and you don't believe it. I just don't understand it.
Yes, it's true. It's really heartbreaking. It's very, very heartbreaking. 1,000 Cuts made its successful world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival. Yay! January 2021, it will have its first television broadcast premiere on Frontline PBS.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we are excited to see this. I think we get PBS here in Canada. I think so.
And you might, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is
Yeah.
another groundbreaking film that exposes the mindset of a leader that loves to promote fear and violence, whatever it takes. So does it bother you that many Filipinos, even after watching this documentary, still support Duterte's violent war on drugs and his unethical behavior? I mean, why is it important for you to tell the truth no matter how difficult it is? Journalists have been assassinated to silence them and induce fear amongst other journalists. I mean, that is one of the reasons why they're doing that. So, and Maria, when I was talking to her, Maria Ressa, she doesn't seem to worry about it. But
Yeah, she that's real, this calmness about Maria.
very, 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 Maria is just like, she's focused, like she doesn't care, but she cares, but she cares for the people around her, with the people who work with her. So, and you, Ramona, you have the reputation for exposing a lot of things. So, do you worry at all? Like when you go back to the Philippines, Manila, and then, do you worry? Do you worry about
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, I have to ask, but because
no, of course I do. It gives me pause. Should I worry? People ask me, "Are you worried?" I'm like, "Should I worry?" But oh my God, I have to go back, right? I do have a love-hate relationship with the country. There's a reason that I live here, but I love returning. I do, and it's like those first few moments of this, first few weeks, even sometimes if I stay there longer, the first few weeks are this romantic period where I love the Philippines. Why did I ever leave it? And then it becomes obvious why you left it. It's like, oh yeah, this is why we broke up, right? It's like an old boyfriend. Oh yeah, pala, this is why we broke up. But it is this love push because it's still I feel I'm deeply understood there. Will never be deeply understood here. I think I am. I mean, to a point, but there's so many things that you do not have to explain, right? It's super different. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So to me, the thought of never returning will break my heart, even if I have a love-hate relationship with, because I have very, very good friends there still, and family, and friends that I went to school with, and we grew up together, and they're still my closest friends. So I think it will break my heart. So I'm hoping yes. I haven't put it to the test after the film because it's COVID.
We'll be back with you. Don't go away.
Started getting attacked on social media. The government created disinformation networks, so people have no idea what the truth is. I was getting an average of 90 hate messages per hour.
We don't even know whether we can trust the police to protect us.
Reality is the use and abuse of social media has become widespread. And sadly, I see some of my friends posting a lot of lies and sharing misinformation and about the coronavirus, about the US election, about the third day. It's just crazy. It's scary, it is toxic, and it is poisoning our planet. So what do you say to that word, I won't forget, dehumanization of people, believers of lies and BS? do you think there's hope to stop all these? Ramona, come on.
Yes. Yeah, no, I do think there's hope. But I think I know Maria would agree with me that the social media platforms themselves have to fix it, because it is in the engineering of the platforms that make us in silos, that put us in the silos of not really meeting in the public square. There is no public square anymore where you can have a reasonable discussion, right? That has been erased because we're so polarized. But I think that is the business model, right, of the social media platforms, and they have to fix it. They really do, because we can't live on like we're one. Just look at the feed of someone you don't really agree with. Look at and it is so amazing. And then you're like, oh my God, if you get this every day and you are not that a kind of person to really investigate it, will you believe it? You probably will. I'm thinking maybe I will believe it if I'm not the kind of person to really examine it, right? So it's scary. It looks so different from what you and I are seeing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, no wonder they believe it. No wonder, but I mean, come on. But then again, you're back to, come on, just wear the mask, right?
You've been a passionate defender of truth, and it's not easy. What you do is not easy. So what inspires you to keep fighting for justice and freedom of speech?
Yeah, I like telling stories, Luisa. I like telling stories. I'm drawn to people who are not necessarily always on the good side, right? I'm drawn to people who have stories to tell. I'm drawn to examine people's behavior. I'm drawn to really know what motivates them, for good or for evil, not evil, but for good or for bad, right? On either side, as you see in 1,000 Cuts. I was very interested in why Mocha Uson was such a big believer of the president. She had to have her own story, right? No one is like no one is contrabida in their story, right? Everyone's always a hero in their own story. So I wanted to know what Mocha Uson's story was. And it turns out she does have a personal history. Her father was assassinated. And so everyone has a story to tell. And I'm so drawn to the people the stories people tell themselves and other people to create the reality. And then, of course, I'm drawn to bigger than life people like Imelda Marcos, for example, and Maria Ressa. I mean, there's so sort of opposite sides of the continuum, but I'm drawn to people who are bigger than life in a way, really believe in this, in themselves and in their fight, and see things very globally in a way, like Maria does. It's such a global worldview that it's inspiring.
Oh, Maria is inspiring. But oh my gosh, you are such a brave woman.
I don't know. I don't see myself as brave. I just feel like if I'm interested in this story, people must be, and it's a story to tell right now, right? And I almost put myself in a position where, wow, you can't back down, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to back down from this story?
No,
so I don't think of it as, I don't know. I don't think of it as bravery. I don't think about it too much, because then you'll start getting scared. Then you're like, then you follow. It's like, oh, what if we do this? What if we do that? And I'm like, no, we're already decided. This is what we're going to do. And let's just do it. Let's just go. Let's just do it. Yeah.
So are you excited for the television premiere?
I am very excited. I think it'll get seen a lot, because Frontline is a big platform. I'm also excited by the fact that what they're gonna see on television is the same version as what we released theatrically. It's the exact same 98-minute version, because usually you have to cut it down for broadcast.
Exactly.
You have to shave off a few minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even 15.
Exactly.
But they didn't do that this time. It's the same version. It's 98 minutes. I'm excited for that.
Mr. President, is it important that people be afraid of you? Fear.
Yes.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa.
Maria Ressa carries the torch of press freedom in a country held in thrall by a populist president.
It started with the drug war.
Do not do drugs, because I will kill you.
President Duterte began his administration with the drug list.
This is the drug industry of the Philippines.
He showed everyone a list. People on that list started dying.
I'm telling the Filipino people it's gonna be bloody.
We demanded the government be held accountable.
Duterte was annoyed by our reporting.
You are a fake news outlet. They will be allowed to criticize us, but you go to jail for your crime.
We started getting attacked on social media. The government created disinformation networks, so people have no idea what the truth is. I was getting an average of 90 hate messages per hour.
We don't even know whether we can trust the police to protect us.
Just because you're a journalist na ito, you're exempted from assassination.
We didn't even realize how dangerous it is for you.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm scared for you.
Maria Ressa has been arrested.
The charges against Ressa were aimed at intimidating those who challenged Duterte's rule.
So why should you care about what happens in the Philippines?
They test the tactics of how to manipulate America in our country. If it works, they port it over to the rest of the world.
Maria Ressa was one of 4 journalists named as Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Maria won't be afraid. I'm afraid for her.
What we're seeing is death by 1,000 cuts. Little cuts of Philippine democracy. We will not duck. We will not hide. We will hold the line.
It's also important to keep telling the story of Maria, to keep it alive, because, oh my God, the fight is not over for her.
No.
Right? She's in the Philippines. It's she now has a judgment over her head. She's in lockdown. I think it's really key to keep her story alive. And like you said, there are very many Marias around the world. She's not the only Maria. There are 1,000 Marias, more than 1,000 Marias, and each of their story needs to be amplified, because you cannot go around targeting journalism or journalists and journalism, because I think without journalism, democracy is no good, dies, right? Journalism is such a key ingredient in keeping democracy alive. That's why I think it's important. It's a big battle for our time.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Before we go, we want to end with a little clip of our interview with Maria Ressa last year after her cyber libel guilty verdict.
Actually, the battle isn't mine. It's really Filipinos. And you know what this is like, right? When you come from more than one world. In the end, Filipinos are going to make a choice in the kind of government, the kind of system that we want to be under. I've stuck to what I believe, which is press freedom, the Bill of Rights, the rights guaranteed under our Constitution. But perhaps many other Filipinos will want more of an authoritarian rule or even a dictatorship.
Don't forget to watch 1,000 Cuts. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Please don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, always be kind. Let's stop bullies and the coronavirus. Wash your hands, wear a mask, stay safe. See you next week. Bye-bye.